tell you to speak out.
Thanks, Edna. Thank you.
Thank you, Adele and Barry. Yeah, survivor's probably a better word, because I still, over 2 years later, I'm getting new symptoms. I have blood clots now that I didn't have for the last 2 years. I have blood clots now that I didn't have for the last 2 years that have become a bit of a problem. You can see the lump in my hand, that came up massively 2 weeks ago. So I have new symptoms still at this stage, but I'm still here and I'll still keep talking. No matter, not really up to it a lot of the time, but I had to come today for Geraldine and for all the people here, the people that I've gotten to know over the last 2 years. I'm going to read you something because there's a new group of people that you won't probably know about yet. A vaccine injured people that have lasted a year or 2 years and just can't do it anymore. So this was a girl, now I didn't know her personally myself, but a lot of the people in the support groups knew her. And she was a wonderful person. She was beautiful inside and out, and was a very successful woman, an actress and an amazing person, an inspirational woman. And this was her very last post, and it's about 3 weeks ago now that she posted this. Hi guys, she wanted her story to be told. Now her name isn't going out for the families because they have to deal with this loss. Hi guys, over the last 10 days I became severely ill again, homebound, unable to do much. My body is too weak to fight this illness and I have no more strength, so I made a decision to end my life today at Pegasus Association in Switzerland. I was diagnosed with untreatable chronic neurological illness, ME, CFS, caused by vaccine, on top of having suspected respiratory ALS. This illness made me disabled, unable to work or have social life, and unable to enjoy life altogether. Breathing has become more and more difficult and painful for me, and my lung function has been declining. Thank you for all your friendship and support over the last year. The vaccine I received over a year ago destroyed my health, my body, and my life completely. There is no other way to end my suffering other than the decision I made. And she's gone now. She's dead about 3 weeks.
God rest her.
And she had to pay for her own death, still without acknowledgement of what she's been through. Unfortunately, when her post went up, a lot of other vaccine injured people have said that they would follow her if they had the money. And I can understand that. I'm doing very well compared to a lot of other people. Most vaccine injured people can't do this. They can't come here. I've had over 20 years of experience in dealing with medical issues, and I've been able to get to the point where people say to me, you wouldn't know you were sick. Well, you want to see it from the inside. I'm struggling today, and I was struggling yesterday, and my pain has gone through the roof. So I'm going to make this relatively short and sweet, and I'm going to head home. Thanks to Barry and to Adele and everybody that's doing this amazing work, the people that turn up all the time. I have a statement from Health Freedom Ireland that I'd like to read first, and this is from Maeve Murren specifically, but for all the team at HFI. They're doing amazing work on our behalf. And all the way through all of this, they're working constantly. It's a bit like, the swan on the water, it looks beautiful, but underneath there's so much going on. There's a lot of stuff going on that you wouldn't know about, between what's happening in Ireland with people like Maeve Murren, but also what's happening with the global coalition who I'm a member with. There's representatives of each country in that group. And because the medical profession have decided they don't want to help us, we've decided, or the people that are helping us have decided that we have to do it ourselves. So we have documented over 300 symptoms that vaccine injured people are now experiencing. Some of us have heart stuff. Thankfully, I don't have that. So there's little pockets of different, injuries, and a lot of them overlap. So they're trying to figure out what works for the different groups And we're doing our own investigations. So there are surveys going on at the moment to try and narrow it down to literally every single symptom that we experience. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I hope that gives some hope to the people who aren't seeing that this stuff is going on. People that don't do social media don't know. There's still people turning up that think they're alone, that they think they're the only ones that are vaccine injured. And because we're all so sick, most of us can't turn up to speak out. And of course then there's the gaslighting and the lack of any kind of support from our mainstream media. Japanese national television has apologised for the way they reported suspected COVID-19 vaccination deaths. We're very far from that in Ireland and the UK and America. So we have to keep working away and letting people know that this is happening in other countries. So anyway, from Health Freedom Ireland, Maeve Murren and all at Health Freedom Ireland are proud to support the vigil for all the COVID-19 vaccine victims. Unfortunately, we are unable to be with you in person today because of our involvement in another project at this time. Volunteers at Health Freedom Ireland work tirelessly to disseminate information to help the public make informed decisions regarding their health. So naturally our attention over the past 3 years was very much focused on COVID-19 and the pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical interventions that were promoted by our government in lockstep with governments across the world. From the very beginning, we guessed that people would be coerced into taking a vaccine in order that a full return to the life they knew before COVID-19 would be achieved. We were aware that vast profits would accrue to pharmaceutical companies if they managed to develop a vaccine, but we were also keenly aware that all previous attempts to develop a safe vaccine had failed. We were alarmed and saddened when access to cheap and effective early treatments were sidelined by NPHET advisors. We were shocked that doctors were intimidated and obstructed from treating their own patients using their professional expertise and experience. Instead, those diagnosed with COVID-19 were told to go home and to contact emergency services when they could not speak a sentence without becoming breathless. The role of mainstream media in promoting the fear and hysteria that made the vast majority of the public set their own common sense aside can only be described as evil. Health Freedom Ireland participated in arranging information rallies at the beginning of the crisis. Our volunteers delivered letters to 6,000 GPs, alerting them to the success many doctors were having with the use of hydroxychloroquine. We begged the HPRA to make ivermectin available as an early treatment based on peer-reviewed research and to promote the awareness of vitamin D deficiency. We conducted extensive research into the alarming spike in nursing home deaths following the initial rollout of the vaccine and notified the results to every elected representative in both houses of the Oireachtas. We contacted every news agency, radio and television channel in this country and some abroad. Nobody, with one or two notable exceptions, gave us a hearing. Time and time again, we were banned on social media platforms. We now see that Kilkenny accountant Patrick Walsh, who has also conducted similar research into the alarming levels of excess deaths in Ireland, is being faced with a similar brick wall. So many in positions of authority still insist that vaccines are safe and effective, as if there were no downside to this mass vaccination programme. Health Freedom Ireland were heavily involved in the Health Conference Ireland 2022 event held in Dublin. At that event, in the presence of eminent doctors and scientists from all over the world, Etna Brannigan told her story of her vaccine injury to the public. Her powerful testament that day is available to view on the World Council for Health website. Those gathered here today are a testament to the fact that the truth will out.
Yes.
Hear, hear.
We in Health Freedom Ireland sympathise with your immense suffering and loss and thank you for your bravery in speaking out. We hope that by raising your head above the parapet, you have begun a process in Ireland that will give courage to others who have suffered loss through injury and death. Your empathy and love for others were weaponised against you at a terrible cost.
Yeah.
Thanks to Health Freedom Ireland for sending along that statement. I personally, of course, am having a hard time with Facebook and so on. They are still punishing me for sharing mental health support for vaccine injured people. At the time we had a high level of suicides in the vaccine injured community, and at that time they would not allow us to show support and to share support for the people that were struggling and trying to keep their heads above water without any medical help, without any politicians helping them, usually with huge financial losses and the stress of trying to raise families and just get about their daily lives when they were extremely ill. On the legal side of things, I am trying to take a case. I've been a bit slow with getting my victim impact statement complete. Every time I feel I have it finished, something else happens and I get new symptoms and I get knocked or I get sick, and I'm very slow to complete it. And like in the last month, I have 2 new conditions that I didn't have before that are being investigated. And I go back to my GP, who is quite supportive and is a very nice person. She's limited in how much she can support me because I need it all documented on paper. And I don't have a medical card and I'm not working, so I have to, I have to organise this kind of stuff myself. So I'm not quick to go running to the doctor at 50 euros a pop. And people have been very helpful with my court report. Not one Irish doctor will do a medical report for a vaccine injured person. Not one. We have gone to every doctor in Ireland. I sat in neurologists' offices and I asked them and I begged them and I continuously came at them with different arguments and different, perspectives on it to get them to give me a diagnosis of temporal association, as they know that I have a vaccine injury. They've discussed it with me and they will not write it on paper. They've refused. So the only way I can go to court, and this is what slows down Irish people going to court, is that I have to pay a doctor in the UK to give me the report that I need so that I can go to court. And it's €2,000 for that report. So a lot of the solicitors and litigators that we're using are turning people away because they have to have really airtight cases before they'll take people on. And that's why we've no compensation scheme in Ireland, because if they opened the doors for no fault compensation scheme, they'd have to admit what has happened in Ireland, and they're not going to do that. So don't expect the compensation scheme to come up in any way soon in Ireland. The English system, there is £120,000, but there's been very few payouts on that. Very few people have gotten it. They have to jump through hoops, and they're trying to get that system looked at so that there can be some improvements made. So today I wanted to be here for Jackie, for Geraldine, for the people that are struggling today, for the people that might not be here next week. I have a relative of mine who I'm very, very fond of, and I lost sleep over him this week because his doctor was trying to give him another injection. They're still giving them.
Yeah.
They're still giving them.
Advertising it on Nova.
Yeah, they're still giving them. And I was ready to ring round every doctor in the area to find out who his GP was, to threaten him that I'd see him in hell if he gave him another injection. But I'm being told he didn't have it, so fingers crossed that's the case. So we all have to do our bit, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak here today, and all we can do is keep banging on the door. Thanks everybody.
Well done, well done.
Brilliant.